At first at 4, Hawaiian royalty descendant and heiress to the Campbell estate fortune, Abigail Nanakoa has died.
Princess Abigail Kinoiki ke kaulike nanakoa.
News of the death of Hawaiian royalty descendant Abigail Nanakoa was announced this morning in the Hawaiian language, a language that she worked hard to help preserve.
During her lifetime, Nanakoa supported Iolani Palace, the Polynesian Voyaging Society, and the Merry Monarch Festival.
She's just a treasure that we've lost that we will never, ever get back.
Nanakoa died last night at her Nuuanu home with her wife Veronica Gale Nanakoa and her closest friend at her side. She was 96.
He was of Aliʻi ancestry, and that connection goes back to a time where we have lost most of those people. Most of those people are gone now.
Our Aliʻi has passed, and the love that I have for her, for the many things she did, her work has ceased here on Earth, so we will not see her again.
Inside the palace throne room, Nanakoa was in a handcrafted koa casket. Nanakoa is the 12th person to lie in state there. The last was Prince Kuhio in 1932. It's also where King Kawa, Nanakoa's great-granduncle, lay in state. These rare rituals are part of Hawaii's past, present, and future, and is what Nanakoa had wished for. Tomorrow there will be a private funeral service at Mauna Ala, the Royal Mausoleum in Nuuanu, and we're told there will be 200 dignitaries and other invited guests there. Reporting from Iolani Palace, I'm Abigail Richardson.
Pretty quiet, pretty calm. The kiai were there. No negativity, no hassles, no spooks, none of that. I've never felt that anyone had anything but respect for it. They understand who's there, what's there, and why.
The name Mauna Ala means fragrant mountain, and it is an area that is also known as Nanakoa. It's at the top of the hill in Nuuanu Valley. It's called Ma'e.
Mauna Ala was built in order to house the casket of our Aliʻi.
In 1862, at the passing of 4-year-old Prince Albert Edward Kahakua Hawaii, Pohukaina, the royal tomb at Iolani Palace, was crowded. The young prince's parents, King Kamehameha IV and Queen Emma, picked the area known today as Mauna Ala as the site of a new mausoleum. In 1864, the prince was laid to rest there alongside his father, the king, who died 15 months after Prince Albert.
And then when the Aliʻi were brought up, not all were brought up. Several were left here at Pohukaina. In the Hawaiian newspapers, they actually helu the names of the Aliʻi. They were brought up by night and taken there. Of course, at a certain point, it started to fill up too. And they saw the need to build the tombs that we're accustomed to seeing. So the Kamehameha tomb was first to be built. The Aliʻi of Kamehameha were taken into that tomb. Then the Waiʻili tomb was, Queen Emma's family was created, as well as the Kalakaua family crypt. There are some beautiful accounts in the newspapers that explain even the Queen, Her Majesty Queen Liliuokalani, overseeing the transferal of the bodies of the Kalakaua family into the Kalakaua crypt.
It's like chicken skin, right? When you see the names and the people that are enshrined here, entombed here, and it just becomes so much more important. So many years ago, actually, I was asked to look at Mauna Ala. A lot of the trees were missing. They had died because this is well over 100 years old. And, you know, it was really in need of repair. So I came in, looked at it, gave some advice, and nothing came of it. And then just last year, I was contacted, and that's when they asked me to come down, look at the site. It was late in the summer. The grass was yellow and brown and dead in areas. Royal palms were missing. The trees were not pruned. You know, that's not what this place should be. From there, I've been dedicated to doing whatever we can to bring these grounds up to par, to speed. We were pretty moved by the site itself and what this meant to our Hawaiian people.
Native Hawaiians have ingrained in them a tradition of respect and honor for their ali'i, or royalty, making sites like Mauna Ala an important location to many Hawaiians and inciting strong opinions from the community when Princess Abigail Kawananakoa began planning to be interred there.
This is the Waiʻili Crypt at Mauna Ala, the royal mausoleum in Nu'uanu, where the descendants of Queen Emma are buried. Now, Kawananakoa's crypt is still under construction, and it will look similar to this one. Surrounded by black gates and the seal of Hawaii's kingdom, Mauna Ala has burials of the Kamehameha and Kalakaua dynasties. Abigail Kawananakoa, known as a princess for her royal lineage, passed away in mid-December. Her crypt is on the Makai side of the entrance, with a 15 by 15 foot foundation and will be 8 feet tall. The design process started a decade ago. The State Land Board granted permission for Kawananakoa to build a single occupant tomb. Many critics were against it, but she did have supporters, including the mausoleum's caretaker. Kawananakoa wanted to be interred in the Kalakaua crypt, but it was already full with the last person buried at Mauna Ala in 1953, her uncle David Kalakaua Kawananakoa.
The Kaumoali'i Kawananakoa Kapi'olani lineage connects that family, that line, to the high, or what I recognize, the high major lines of the four major islands. Princess Kekaulike, Princess Abigail Kekaulike Kawananakoa, is a lineal descendant of not only a bloodline of a chiefly bloodline, but of folks who are buried there. So if you consider this, the princess is buried on the grounds that her grandmother and grandfather are buried. And so there is no question that she has the right to be buried there. It is slated that she will be the last burial at Mauna Ala. That was what was slated in 1953-ish when David Koch Kalakaua Kawananakoa was buried. So I cannot speak for our future generations. If they see wisdom, that they will prescribe to another burial.
E kulia mau ka aha punana leo I ke ola o ka olelo Hawai'i. Ua ho'okumu ia ke au kahi ho'ola olelo Hawai'i he kanaha makahiki I hala I nei. He oia mau no nae ka o nā wali o ka olelo aloha, a ole no ho'i I pakele I ka make. No kānaka makua ke kuleana o ka ho'olilo ana I ka olelo Hawai'i. E ola ka olelo Hawai'i.
Step into the heart of Hawaii's royal heritage at Iolani Palace, where the legacy of our ali'i comes alive. Experience the enduring spirit of aloha and feel the mana of this sacred place echoed through the halls and embodied in every corner. We invite you to explore, to learn, and to honor the rich stories that have shaped our islands. Embrace the legacy, Iolani Palace, where every visit enriches your understanding of Hawaii.
One of the most notable traditions of Hawaii's ali'i was their commitment to bequeathing the remainder of their worldly possessions as gifts to their people, supporting healthcare, children, and education. In 2001, Abigail Nanakoa continued this noble legacy by establishing a foundation dedicated to preserving our heritage and caring for our community.
There's a line in the Mo'oku Auhau, ko Ihonua, that says, "O ka ho'o vili vili ho'o hihi a piko o nā ali'i," which means the twisting and twining and tangling of all of these different ali'i lineages. I was very fortunate to learn Mo'oku Auhau and the Ko'ihonua of the Kawa nanakoa family. That genealogy, Mo'oku Auhau, is it brings Hawaii, Maui, Oahu, and Kauai together.
Princess Abigail Kinoiki Kekaulike Kawananakoa was deeply rooted in Hawaiian royalty, tracing her lineage across several generations of the kingdom's most distinguished figures. She was a direct descendant of Kaumuali'i, the last king of Kauai, who unified his island with the Kingdom of Hawaii. She was the great-granddaughter of Princess Mary Kinoiki Kekaulike, governor of Hawaii, and High Chief David Kahalepouli Pi'ikoi. Her great-grandmother was the younger sister of Queen Kapi'olani, wife of King David Kalakaua. Princess Kawananakoa was the great-granddaughter of Abigail Kwaihelani Ma'ipinepine Campbell, ali'i and confidant of Queen Niliuokalani, and James Campbell, who built one of the great plantations in Hawaii, today's James Campbell Company. She was the granddaughter of Prince David Kawananakoa, named heir to the Hawaiian throne, and Princess Abigail Wahi Ka'ahu'ula Campbell Kawananakoa, who adopted her as her daughter in the traditional Punahele manner and raised her to perpetuate the royal line. She was the daughter of Lydia Kamaka'eha Liliuokalani Kawananakoa, who was the first president of the Friends of Iolani Palace and a major force in the perpetuation of Hawaii's royal legacy in the Civic Center of Honolulu.
Princess Abigail Kinoiki Kekaulike, her circumstance as a lawehanai, and they called it malu, that style of adoption by her grandmother, making her grandmother her mother. Any mo'opuna, spending time being raised by their kupuna, you get information, you get kuana ike, a lens from another time. As much as there are relatives who are still with us, she really is the last of the ali'i from another time because she was raised by her grandmother. And certain things come with that. It really isn't about wealth in the ali'i sense. It really is more about their kuleana and their status and the way they were raised. Princess Kekaulike was outstanding, which is a Hawaiian foundational character or trait is ho'okipa, hospitality. to welcome everyone, as our kupuna did, into their home. And whether you have a lot or not too much, come have some mea inu, whether it's water or whatever they have, and mea ai, but also to sit down and connect with them. Princess Abigail Nanakoa was outstanding in being able to connect with whoever she was speaking with, whether she was in Hawaii or anywhere. In my opinion, what makes up a solid kanaka, or a solid human being in general, is someone who is both interesting and interested. Interesting so that you have something to share, interested in what other people have to do. So she was very much like that. She could hold intelligent conversations with anyone in the world, anywhere. And in Hawaiian, which is really her kuleana, whether it's down at Kakai and you see maybe a boat is coming in and they went to go holo holo, but they would come in, she could talk to them, relate to them, and then she could also be speaking with high-level leaders of countries around the world.
Yes, I traveled extensively with her, and Europe, Scotland, England, Paris, wherever, yeah. And then we did the South Pacific, Polynesia, we did Tahiti, Aotearoa, Cook Islands, all those islands, and they adored her. They loved Kekau. People wonder, where did you ever meet her? They look at me like, you know. Well, at the time, Time and Life magazine were here. The princess invited them out to her cottage at Kahuku Point. She said, bring that gal that's on 5-0. So they called me and they said that the princess would like you to come with us when we come to your cottage this weekend. And I said, oh my goodness. She came over and shook my hand and said, you're Maggie? And I said, yes. She said, I said, what may I ask you? What may I call you? And she said, my mother calls me Cake. Well, that kind of stopped me in my tracks, because I knew her mother was of royal family. And I said, well, may I call you Princess? And she said, nobody calls me Princess. So I thought, oh my God, I've just dug my hole deeper. I'm getting into trouble. Since that time, my dear, knowing her for over 50 years, she deserves, and people do call her Princess a lot. And she has earned that title and more. But I remember at the time, she was just Kekau. It was important to her that she was Hawaiian. It was the biggest thing in her life that she was Hawaiian. The phone calls came, and she always responded when her Hawaiian people called her. She never denied, no matter what it was, she was there to help. The heart was always open to whoever was on the other end of that phone or whoever came to her door. Her heart was open.
Princess Nanakoa's upbringing instilled in her a deep sense of care for her people, leading to acts of generosity that were widely appreciated. However, her firm convictions sometimes caused friction within her own community.
Step into the heart of Hawaii's royal heritage at Iolani Palace, where the legacy of our Aliʻi comes alive. Experience the enduring spirit of aloha and feel the mana of this sacred place echoed through the halls and embodied in every corner. We invite you to explore, to learn, and to honor the rich stories that have shaped our islands. Embrace the legacy, Iolani Palace, where every visit enriches your understanding of Hawaii.
One of the most notable traditions of Hawaii's Aliʻi was their commitment to bequeathing the remainder of their worldly possessions as gifts to their people, supporting healthcare, children, and education. In 2001, Abigail Nanakoa continued this noble legacy by establishing a foundation dedicated to preserving our heritage and caring for our community.
E palaki miho. I nā loa kela I ini e olelo Hawai'i, mai makau, e komo I ka hana no ka mea makahi o ka hana he ola malaila.
From the moment you step into a punana leo, they help you with building that foundation for Holelo Hawaii.
How hard is it to learn Hawaiian? It's as hard as you want it to be. I think the responsibility is on us, on the punana leo, to revitalize and bring back the language.
Throughout her life, Princess Abigail Nanakoa was deeply committed to supporting Hawaiian causes. Her efforts made a lasting impact, though her journey was marked by moments of conflict, particularly regarding the stewardship of Hawaiian historical items. One such debate centered on Aliʻi funerary objects stolen from a cave in Kawaihai on Hawaii Island and sold to Bishop Museum over a century ago. The princess and other Hawaiians felt the objects could better serve the public in a setting where they could be preserved and seen to inspire future generations, while others, including Hui Malama i ngā kupuna o Hawaii nei, felt the objects should be returned to Kawaihai and reburied.
The focus of Kawaihai was restoring this chief and his possessions to his burial area. That was the focus. For the same reason we've been engaging in this work for the last 33 years, right? It's to restore the ancestral foundation. It's the very foundation upon which we stand. So now that she, has passed on, to me, the disagreements we had, I actively engaged her when she was alive. But once her eyes shut, let it go. Because we were disagreeing on how to approach something. I don't necessarily believe that's unhealthy to disagree, but finding the right way forward and healing from the hurt that comes from that is critical. That allows me to move on and hopefully allows her to and to support her now in her new journey. If somebody breaks into her crypt and steals her iwi, and steals anything that was placed with her, I would take the same position I took in the Kawaihai case. Because of this value that we have to protect, the Moe law, when someone passes away and not interfere with their journey. So for me, it's the same. And if she's, ali'i of that was the same aloha and the same respect we're showing the chief at Kawaihai that we'll now show to her.
Despite differences on Native Hawaiian issues, it's important to view these instances within the broader context of Princess Abigail Nanakoa's dedication to preserving Hawaii's treasures. The restoration of Iolani Palace stands as a testament to this commitment. The palace, a cornerstone of Hawaii's royal story, held deep personal significance for the princess. Her involvement in its revival demonstrated her unwavering commitment to enriching Hawaii's cultural landscape.
She is really important to the reason that we were able to restore this palace and keep it open today. Her mother, Lili'uokalani Morris, was the founder of the Friends of Iolani Palace, and she's really why we were able to save the palace. People talked about tearing the palace down and making it a parking lot at one point. And so that was really important. She passed away just a few years after the Friends were formed. Princess Abigail jumped in basically into her mom's place. And so over the years, she was the president of our organization, a lot of leadership, and over $2 million in her own funds to help pay for our electricity and other much needed operations.
Princess Abigail Nanakoa was a devoted supporter of Hawaii's cherished symbols, from the splendor of Iolani Palace to the preservation of the Hawaiian language.
E Hawai'i au, ho'olohe au I nā a'o o nā kupuna, kama'aina au I nā mo'olelo kahiko. He aha keia mo'olelo I kou mana'o? Maui. Maui, ai.
Poina ia'u I ka wāhea I hui mua ai nei I ko'u no'ono'o ma muli o kona kipa ana mai no kona lohe ua ho'omaka keia hana e ho'ola ai ka olelo. Makemake o ia e hele, e kipa e hele mai I ke maka.
Aka ina tiara ko'a ina e ha'a o makahiki no hova I waiake o te pime pili ko umamako mahala.
Mai kai. Ua lilo wau he mahele olelo ho'okipa ia I ke kula o punana leo o hilo. Mai a manawa mai ua opu ali'i hamama kona pu'u wai ka kako olelo keia la. Kona manawa, hamama, makemake e ha'awi ke kahi kāla kako. Ua ha'awi oia, he ha'awi na kāla no ho'okahi kumu e uku ai ka piha ana no ka uku ana ho'okahi kumu ka punana leo.
Her stewardship extended to the Hokule'a, Hawaii's double-hulled voyaging canoe, embodying Polynesian navigational skill and the resurgence of cultural pride. Demonstrating her support, the princess greeted the canoe and its crew in Tahiti in 1976, marking their historic maiden voyage. When the voyagers returned to Honolulu, amid a swirl of media excitement, it was her welcoming embrace that offered the crew a much-needed haven, highlighting her dedication to their welfare and the ideals they represented.
When the plane landed, she told us, don't go out there, come with me and everything. And this limo showed up. And we got from plane into the limo and she skirted us away so we wouldn't have to face the same reporters. There were reporters out there. And she took us out to her place in Malaikahana. And she hid us out. But a lot of people don't know, she gave so much to me during that period, taking us Puhonua, and then going out and sharing normal things with her, Sornet, Pigapana, stuff like that. And I knew I could stay as long as I wanted, but it was her that made me leave. Not because she didn't want me there, but because I needed to get on with life and stuff, and she helped me do that. I learned more and more about her, and her giving monies away and funding things, and people asking her for it. I made a vow back then that I would never ask her for anything, ever.
Billy Richards carried a deep-seated sense of gratitude towards Princess Nanakoa, a debt of honor that would span 4 decades. When the time came, he stepped into a pivotal role, safeguarding the traditions and dignity of her funeral processions, a testament to his enduring respect and loyalty.
A lot of people don't know that she would call mortuaries and find out if there were Hawaiians that unpaid, and she would just take care of their bill. No questions asked, no obligation. And I've heard from people after her death or even before the death who've told me that, yeah, my husband was in the hospital and she just took care of all the bills, and we had, ongoing stories like this, but it was secret in many cases. So what we have is what we see in public. And sometimes it's a princess who is maybe in hiding or not out in public, or in public to do certain royal duties like the inspection of the guards or tend to places like the palace. Not because she said, well, I'm a princess, I have to do this, but because I am a princess and it is my role to take care of our people. And whatever I have, I must do. I don't believe she went up physically to Mauna Kea. A lot of folks don't know that she funded a lot of the food. She took care of some of the folks there and paid for certain things. In her case, because she had lineal descent, Lilinoe and others, Mauna, when she connected to something, she tenaciously and passionately did. And I think if those carry Ali'i blood And even those of us who might be more kahu, stewards to that kind of stuff, we should be doing the same.
The princess lived a life devoted to uplifting Hawaiians and therefore Hawaii. In her final years, she began to put into motion her plans for her farewells to the lahui she dedicated her life to.
E kulia mau ka aha punana leo I ke ola o ka olelo Hawaii. Ua ho'okumu ia ke au kahi ho'ola olelo Hawaii he kanaha makahiki I hala I nei. E oia mau no nae ka ona wali o ka olelo aloha, a a'ole no ho'i I pakele I ka make. No kānaka makua ke kuleana o ka ho'olilo ana I ka olelo Hawaii. E ola ka olelo Hawaii.
One of the most notable traditions of Hawaii's Aliʻi was their commitment to bequeathing the remainder of their worldly possessions as gifts to their people, supporting healthcare, children, and education. In 2001, Abigail Nanakoa continued this noble legacy by establishing a foundation dedicated to preserving our heritage and caring for our community.
Step into the heart of Hawaii's royal heritage at Iolani Palace, where the legacy of our Aliʻi comes alive. Experience the enduring spirit of aloha and feel the mana of this sacred place echoed through the halls and embodied in every corner. We invite you to explore, to learn, and to honor the rich stories that have shaped our islands. Embrace the legacy, Iolani Palace, where every visit enriches your understanding of Hawaii.
In preparing for Princess Nanakoa's final journey, her casket stands out, a masterpiece of koa wood rich in detail and meaning. Its intricate carvings reflect the princess's legacy and her deep connection to the land. Every curve and line tells the story of her ancestry and the respect she inspired, embodying her spirit and the traditions of her people.
Every aspect of this casket had to be made in Hawaii, and it had to be made out of koa wood. She wanted it to be elegant and stately, quiet and refined, not ostentatious, not showy, but cleanly distinctive for what she stood for in Hawaii. She wanted it to be solid koa wood because she said it had to be koa. There could not be any wood but koa in it, because that's the wood of Hawaii. Every aspect of this was made by our own craftsmen, and it was just contoured that way. That was what we were looking for, something that was going to be that special, that it was going to make the princess feel like this was something that represents not just her majesty, but it represented what Hawaii is all about, the specialness and the magic that is Hawaii, and that's what we were aiming for. The last thing that the princess wanted to have was the crest for her family, and that crest K was something that's very personal to her that she wanted to have, that was distinctive to her casket, that was going to be different from the other caskets from the other monarchs. And so there are 3 emblems that were placed on the casket that were carved in koa. They actually were reliefs that demonstrated the design and the replicas of the crown of Hawaii and the coat of arms. We knew it was going to be something that had to be very special and lasting. The thing that was the most amazing also was the fact that very few people were actually going to see it. We knew that she was going to be lying in state in Iolani Palace, and then that was it. And then it's going to be in a crypt, and it will never, ever, ever be seen again. And so we were really proud the fact that we're going to take that kind of meticulous detail, not because people were going to see it, but because people weren't. And we're just going to handle that kind of detail because no one was going to see it.
E ko mako mako lane piha me ke aloha. Mahalo ya oi no ko launa pana mai me mako I ke ala. O ko mako haku. A me ko mako ola. Ke ho mai ako ne mako ya oi ke akua I he o kalani. E launa pana mai me mako. I noho ko mako noho puana.
The creation of Princess Abigail's final resting place unfolded over 10 years, a journey of dedication and respect. Workers laid the foundation and carved into the soil of Mauna Ala, each act of labor a tribute to her legacy. This monumental undertaking, far beyond the physical toil, was a labor of love, honoring her life and the enduring impact of her spirit. Through concrete and earth, her final resting place was shaped, a lasting homage to her timeless elegance and luminous legacy.
This is a special place, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. I mean, this is history in the makings. This is one of the largest monuments we've actually put together. Some pieces weigh up to 10,000 pounds. She will be the last one rested in this cemetery, so we're extremely excited to be a part of history. And this has been 10 years in the making.
Years of preparations and planning culminated in the princess's final farewell, in royal processions never before seen in 21st century Hawaii.
Step into the heart of Hawaii's royal heritage at Iolani Palace, where the legacy of our Aliʻi comes alive. Experience the enduring spirit of aloha and feel the mana of this sacred place echoed through the halls and embodied in every corner. We invite you to explore, to learn, and to honor the rich stories that have shaped our islands. Embrace the legacy, Iolani Palace, where every visit enriches your understanding of Hawaii.
One of the most notable traditions of Hawaii's Aliʻi was their commitment to bequeathing the remainder of their worldly possessions as gifts to their people, supporting healthcare, children, and education. In 2001, Abigail Nanakoa continued this noble legacy by establishing a foundation dedicated to preserving our heritage and caring for our community.
E palaki miho. Ina loa kela I ini e olelo Hawaii, mai makau e komo I ka hana no ka mea makahi o ka hana he ola malaila.
From the moment you step into a punana leo, they help you with building that foundation for Holelo Hawaii.
How hard is it to learn Hawaiian? It's as hard as you want it to be. I think the responsibility is on us, on the punana leo, to revitalize and bring back the language.
When I found out the princess was close to leaving us, I was told, so I've been preparing because I kind of heard that I might have a role in it. The protocol we started, well, we had the lineup. We had the ahahui lined up. Aliʻi, you notice, was closest to the palace. Then the Royal Order of Kamehameha, the ahahui ka'ahumanu, the daughters and sons of Hawaiian warriors, the daughters of Hawaii, and then the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs. So that's how they were aligned.
Aliʻi was a spin-off of Hale Noa, which was created by King Kalakaua.
Today we honor the Kawa nanakoa families and their royal role in Hawaiian society. And we maintain the protocols of royalty. It's a benevolent society, maintaining the protocols of bereavement as well as honoring our ancestral aliʻi.
So when they opened those gates and Hailama Fardin reached out there and started to do the wailing chant, it really brought tears because it's something I've never experienced and I may never experience that. And I think that was a lot of the people who came to watch early to see that because they knew this may never ever happen again.
She comes in the hearse, the police escorted her, and I started to wail. I called on her lineal, her kupuna, her line of her ancestors, saying, this is your mo'opuna who is here, and this, sometimes you refer to the hearse or the casket, this horrible casket that's holding, because it's restraining, it's keeping you from your ali'i. And some of the poetry you'll talk about is whether you're talking about the ali'i or you're comparing nature and how maybe the Ko'olau mountain is dark, uliuli as they say anyway, how uliuli, because of your death, the waves in Ko are not still. Honolulu is disturbed and the waves are pounding because of your passing. Hala trees are in bloom and the ulu is falling off of the trees in Lahaina to remember your loss. This is my ali'i that I had an intimate, professional relationship with her. I knew her. I knew her, who she was as a person, an ali'i. For me, it was a sore loss.
And then to hear Manu as he chanted her genealogy and then have her come in.
Genealogy is a very important part of a funeral, especially in a procession. For someone who might not know who is in this hearse, the genealogy tells them this is who it is. This is who is remembered.
Drawing on their lineage to Kamehameha III, the state sheriffs and Honolulu police formed Princess Abigail's honor guard. In a nod to Queen Elizabeth II's funeral processions, they carried the 700-pound casket on their shoulders. Together with conservation enforcement and Iolani Palace staff, and to commands given in Hawaiian, they moved their Princess Abigail Nanakoa into Iolani Palace to lie in state.
The family members, they were all on the front lanai, kind of surrounding Gail as she stood there to welcome her to this family home.
We closed the doors, we set her up, allowing her wife to take her position, allowing her family, the Kawa nanakoa family, to have their personal time.
Once they brought her inside, the Royal Society set up in there, and it was really interesting because they did something where on the hour they would tilt the kahili ever so lightly.
The kahili in the palace are extremely heavy. I gotta say, they must weigh about 200 pounds. So in Prince Edward's funeral, the men were able to take the kahili and lift it like this down and run the bowing across the body like this and like this. Very significant movement. These kahili were so heavy, it took two on each side, but we could not do the significant bowing because the kahili were so heavy. We couldn't risk also damaging them. They could only do the slight mate and bow. Those who were originally designated to be the bearers of the kahili here, they were going to be the first watch. They wore the capes, the halenawa capes, the coronation capes, have not been used since 1908 on a person. And at the funeral of her grandfather, Prince David Kawa nanakoa. So it was fitting that it's used for her. What was beautiful is I saw people who knew her, and it was evident by their crying. Some people came in and cried. I think there was someone who wailed. People sang songs. Literally, just tears are falling because this our Aliʻi. You cannot deny people from mourning. If they wanted to sing for their Aliʻi, if they wanted to chant for their Aliʻi, they had to dance outside, which some did.
Ua hui pu mako, he pomaikai ho'i no mako, ua no'o mako e pili ana I kona ola, ko Abigail, ko Noiki, ke kaulike, ko nanakoa, ko mo'i, kona ohana kekahi. Ua ho'omana'o mako e pili ana I kona kupuna, kuakahi, kona hana nui o Abigail mai pine ai, he hana nui no na ku'e, palapala ku'e, no ka lahui, no kona ohana koana na koa kekahi, ke ali'i, na ohana ali'i o ka lakaua, a ali'i o ka lanino. No leila, he mea nui na mako e hele mai aloha wale I ka ohana ai, no keia wā nui. Ho'omana'o mako, ua hui pu ka lahui no ko kuhio, ho'olewa he ho'okaihaneli makahiki I hala ia. No leila, o keia he mea piha I ke aloha.
The people who came had great respect for her. The dignitaries who came from the different consulates establishes we acknowledge who you are, and we're here. The people who came from the Ahahui, they came for that same purpose. Acknowledge you. They wear kamehameha here, who different lines, somewhat. There's some relationship, but out of respect, that's what it is. I saw families who brought their little ones from neighbor islands. They flew them in, the whole family, which I know is expensive, flew the whole family in. Makua are wise to say, you need to see this. I know people came from the continent just to be here. That's so important, and I don't think it's a tradition that, first of all, that belongs to only Hawaii, but I think it should never be disrespect. I think we should always take care of that malama, that idea that it should be our funerals of our ali'i should be open to the people, so the people have a chance to mourn. O ke ali'i ka maka'inana. People are, the chief is the chief because of the maka'inana, so you gotta let the maka'inana be a part of it.
Just seeing 1,000 people line up, and just when you think there's no one else is going to come, all of a sudden there's a whole other group of people coming through. It was as chicken skin an event I've ever had here at the palace.
E kulia mau ka aha punana leo I ke ola o ka olelo Hawai'i. Ua ho'okumu ia ke au kahi ho'ola olelo Hawai'i he kanaha makahiki I hala I nei. E oia mau no nae ka ona wali o ka olelo aloha, a ole no ho'i I pakele I ka make. No kānaka makua ke kuleana o ka ho'olilo ana I ka olelo Hawai'i. E ola ka olelo Hawai'i.
Step into the heart of Hawaii's royal heritage at Iolani Palace, where the legacy of our Aliʻi comes alive. Experience the enduring spirit of aloha and feel the mana of this sacred place echoed through the halls and embodied in every corner. We invite you to explore, to learn, and to honor the rich stories that have shaped our islands. Embrace the legacy, Iolani Palace, where every visit enriches your understanding of Hawaii.
So now today, we have the honor and the privilege, we're able to witness probably the last high-level Hawaiian funerals or ho'olewa.
Hello, Mai, and welcome to the funeral services for Princess Abigail Kinoiki Kekaulike Nanakoa. We'll begin today's service by calling upon Kau Cordial Kikoa, who is often called upon for spiritual matters here at Mauna Ala, to offer the opening prayer and also to lead us in singing the doxology. Kahu.
So today in this, as we celebrate the funeral of the Royal Highness Princess Abigail Kinoiki Kekaulike Nanakoa, we ask your aloha spirit to fill this place with all of your aloha. And so we pule this blessing with much aloha. Amen e no kia ko apau. Amen.
First of all, I want to welcome you to Mauna Ala. I'm William Bishop Kaihe'ekai Maioho, and I'm the 17th kahu here at Mauna Ala to have this kuleana guard the iwi of the Aliʻi. Princess Abigail, by birthright, has the right to be here, and it will be an honor to continue to guard and to protect her iwi.
One of the favorite gifts that the princess ever received was the gift of the following name song composed for her by Kimo Alama Keolana. He would always hit her spirits, lift her spirits when she heard him sing it. Kimo performs as part of the group they call Lehulu.
O ke aliʻi he aliʻi ka makaainana, lest we forget. A classical Hawaiian proverb translated to say, a chief is a chief because of the makaainana. Little context, I was fortunate to be raised by my grandparents, my paternal grandparents, and my grandmother, my tutu, taught me about the respect I should show and express to show tender aloha to our aliʻi, specifically the ohana kawananakoa.
History says of this very, very precious aliʻi nui of Hawaii, Kekaulike, is that her heart was in the right place to not only preserve and take care of the health and well-being of her people, but she put her wealth where her mouth is.
Right away, she would go into the business of asking us the question, where can I help? What can I do? Who needs the help? And as you have heard the testaments before mine, these names were lifted, projects were lifted, and she would listen to that. And by listening to that, then she would contemplate and then take action. This I'm most privileged to have witnessed, that our aliʻi was truly ke aliʻi, the chief for our people.
Princess Abigail Kawa was interred at Mauna Ala in a private ceremony on March 27, 2023.
Beautiful, kind, generous, loving, a little sassy. She was just a regular person who was born into Kuleana, He Opu Aliʻi. And from that, having the insides of an Aliʻi and having gained her inheritance, has used for thousands of people for decades and will continue, which is a beautiful thing, to support programs that lift up, that uplift, I should say, our Hawaiian community. Poina ole no ho'i oia, unforgettable. As an Ali'i o ke'io wā, she will be dearly missed by our lahui.